Today I'm going to talk about something in the news this summer, the Southern Baptist Convention. I was born and raised in a Southern Baptist church, and my dad was associate pastor. So we were at church every time the door was open. I spent my whole life in Southern Baptist churches until about 6 years ago. And for 10 years, I was the assistant editor of the Baptist Messenger, the state newspaper for Oklahoma Southern Baptist. So I'm very familiar with Baptist politics. I'm also an ordained Southern Baptist minister, whatever that's worth. At the last meeting of the SBC, messengers voted to remove fellowship from a church because that church had ordained women to be pastors. Last year, they did the same thing to Saddleback Community Church in California for the same reason. This troubles me greatly because the SBC is basing its decisions on church traditions, not on the scriptures. Let me explain. God used women in a number of instances in the Bible. In the book of Judges, Deborah was ordained to be a judge of the people, and she led the people for a brief period. Esther saved the Jews from persecution, and Ruth was a godly woman. In the New Testament, Jesus spoke to the woman at the well, and she told all of her family about him. After Jesus was crucified and rose from the grave, it was 3 women who reported that news to the apostles who were hiding in fear of the Romans. So God has chosen to use women throughout the Bible. By contrast, there is one verse quoted to exclude women. In 1 Corinthians 14:34, Paul wrote, "Women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission as the law says." Many scholars believe that Paul was addressing a particular problem in the Corinthian church. Women had no religious training, but they were speaking out in church, and that was causing divisions. So Paul wrote to address that with that verse. Paul also had many other things he spoke out about, like wearing jewelry, braiding hair, and wearing hats in church, but those verses are rarely quoted in church. Look for part 2 of this story.